Hey everyone, it's Daphne and I'm back, and we are going to finish the Safari Adventure mini album. So I've got my papers, or most of them, laid out here. So this is what our spine's going to be, and it's going to be wrapped. And I'll tell you what I did. This is 6 by 8 3/8. And this is going to be the base of it. And this is 8 3/8, and I made it square. You don't need to make it square since we're going to have a wrap. I did that because I wasn't sure I was going to wrap it at first. So it's going to look like this. And then I want to point out that I went ahead and put a little black border here. So underneath the edge of this is just a strip of black, just so you get that little separation, because it's going to lay right on top of this. And I thought it would be easier to do that than to try to make a gap and have it look even top to bottom. So that is what I've done. So we are going to start by laying this piece down. And so I'm just looking to make sure it fits right. Checking on my edges and see which way it fits best. And this looks pretty good. So I think we're ready to go ahead and put some glue on this and lay it down. So this is the cover. This is the front. There's my inside. I was just making sure I actually inked the edges, and I did. Okay, now I'm going to turn it so that I can see these two edges clearly. And we'll start by laying down the edge closest to me. And then, I hate it when I do that. And then push it back. I actually didn't have a good hold of the book. Okay. Burnish everything into place. That looks good. Okay. Okay, now we're going to flip it over and do the back. And I didn't have another piece the right size, so what I'm going to do is, this is the right height, trim it down. This is going to come around like so. And then I'm going to do a small seam here. So let's start by laying that down. Okay, let's get this inked and laid down. So we're going to put this piece on first. And when I say this piece, it is 4 1/4. Yours doesn't have to be. That just happens to be the size of the scrap I have. So that's what I'm using. Good grief, I'm having a hard time. I did the same thing on the front. There we go. And now I'm going to trim this, and I'm going to have a small black seam there, and I'll trim it right here. And I just trimmed it down to 4 inches because I know my spine is going to wrap around the front. So it's okay if it's a little bit short here. Now what I want to do is I want to make sure the height of this is the same as the height of the spine. And it is. Okay. Very, very good. All right, let's get some ink on it and lay it down. And I've done this wrap before. Basically, for the spine piece, because it's going to move, we have it covered with tape. And I'll go over that a little bit more in just a second. All right, let me see. It looks like it's a little bit off. Okay. Take that one more time. Okay, looks good. Get some glue on here. And then to put the spine on, I'm going to stand the book on its ends. And we will take the center piece of the tape out and press it into place, and then we'll start taking off a strip on each side, alternating until we get all the tape removed. There we go. And I think that looks nice too. I'll probably do something else back here. I just don't know what. Now this is going to wrap like so. So this is again the cover. So again, we're going to take off the center strips. I think I'll take off a couple. The main one for sure. And then we're going to leave these side pieces on until we get it pretty much where we want it. And the way I'm going to do that is by wrapping the front side first, taking a look at that. Remember, I told you we're going to stand it up. And then what I want to see is that these are coming around and lining up nicely. Oops, I wasn't quite ready. That's looking all right. Actually, it's not quite right. I think I should have put glue on here so that I would have had a little more time to adjust it. But I'm going to try to pull it up. It's taking the paper with it, so I'm going to stop where I'm at. All right, this is pretty close. So it looks like the bottom is lining up perfectly with that paper, but you can see I'm slightly off here. And the way I'm going to solve that is I'm just going to run a black marker over that, cover it up. It was very close, but not quite. All right, so let's burnish this into place. Let's see, I lost my bone folder. And then I'm going to add a little glue where it started lifting the paper. It was just a little bit. And now I'm going to take a strip of tape backing off on one side, press it into place, the other side back and forth, okay? Okay, so it's most important that the book is at, so this would be the closed position. We want it right about here when we're covering this part of the seam that joins the spine and the covers. So it's important that when we're laying this part down that we've got the book not in a completely closed or completely open position. But we have at least one row of tape on each side to lay down before we even get to that part. Okay, then go the alternate side. Okay, now I think each strip from this point on is actually going to be going, yeah, right over these two spaces. So we want to make sure we don't have the book completely closed or open. Okay. Okay, now we're going to go to the opposite side. Okay, take off the next one. Back to this side. Then we've got one more on each side after this. Almost finished. Okay. Okay, there it is. I'm happy with the way that looks. And again, you can see just a tiny bit of color coming through here, not much. It's right on the bottom edges. That's a pretty tough thing to do, but I think it turned out pretty good. If it bothered you, you just run over that with a little black marker and that'll hide it real quick. Okay, and I might do that, but not right at the moment. Okay, so that's done. So now we just want to work that a little bit. Train our paper. Now the next thing I want to do is go ahead and install our pages. And the reason I like to install my pages before I do my cover is, one, you kind of fuss around and that puts some stress on your cover, but also there'll be some material inside the book so it doesn't just fold over on itself, and it makes it easier to decorate the cover. All right, so before I do that, I'm going to stop real quick and take pictures of each one of the pages. Hey y'all, it's Daphne from Scrap and Create, and I did it again. I hit the photo button and not the record button. So I did a couple of things. I laid down my red piece, which is a 6x6 backed with black cardstock, and then this is a cut apart, and behind it is some chipboard. So I'm going to show you that. So these two things I've already adhered. Actually, it looks like I need to add a little glue here. So I was fussing around trying to decide what my next step is. These are really just the two main cover elements, right, so far. So I have these stamps, which I really like the look of, so I was thinking about doing something like so. And then I'd like to use this piece of hardware, but I'm not completely sold on it yet. And then I wanted to pull in a couple more pieces of chipboard, maybe these two buttons. And then down here, it just seems like I need something. So one of the things that I tried was adding this piece of chipboard, and I kind of like that, but I'm not sold. This is too small and it also disappears, so that won't work for us. And I think this is the chipboard that has a circular piece in the middle, and I think it kind of, it just doesn't do it justice here. It disappears. What I'd like is another piece of this card to pop it, but I don't have it. And then also there was some border strips, and this one had Adventure Journey Discover, and I just cut them all out independently, and I think I'm going to use these three pieces clustered together like so under a floral arrangement right there, but I haven't decided yet. I was just really trying to pick out what I want to feature as far as paper and chipboard on the front before I go try to pull in my flowers. Okay, and then I still have this piece, Let's Go on an Adventure, which would also look good here. So I may ink this and put some black cardstock and set it here and see how it looks. I think I do kind of like the way this is turning out, and a cluster of some floral arrangements here. I'm just a little worried that that corner might look a little naked, so I'll have to think about that a little bit. That would solve my problem, but I don't like the idea that it's a duplicate. That helps too. Pulls the green back in. So we'll see. So I'm going to go get my flowers and start laying these in, and we'll work together to come up with something. I know you guys had asked to see some of this process, and it's slow, but I'll do my best to share with you. So I'm just going to move everything that's not glued down yet. So this is where we are right now. Be right back. Okay, so here are my flower options. I'd actually picked this one before I used the red, and I'm going to lay it down real quick. It's $49 Market, and I think it's going to be a little too orange against the red. If I wasn't featuring, actually it doesn't look too bad. If I wasn't featuring this red here, it might have, I think it's a little too orange. So I'm going to set that aside. I don't think I'm going to use that. I've got some old Prima flowers that are the right color, but they look a little too frou-frou-y. This I like for sure. And I think it works with the Safari. Yeah, I like that a lot. And actually, I was thinking about using this piece of chipboard, and it pulls that green back in. So I'm liking the green. And this is called Mint. Enchanted Petals Mint. And then I also like this real well. And then lastly, I don't know why they're not in here, but I've got some Graphic 45 roses that I could consider, but I'm not sure. Okay, so let's add some of those other layers back on and see how it's starting to come together. So I thought about doing this. Maybe just two. I'm going to cut it in half, or in thirds. Let's try a couple down here, and that way it doesn't look so crowded up here. I like that. Then we've got this. We could actually tuck it. I like to play with my stamps just to give them a little bit more texture and dimension. I'm liking that. I think that works. What do you guys think? And then I've got these three, Adventure Journey Discover, which could be slightly tucked in here. to bring the green back in to this sort of triad. Okay, I think I'm coming, this is coming together. So I've got more of these green flowers, so I can add a couple of small green flowers at the top. Put one there. And then I also have what looks like kind of a linen. The other thing I could do is put some twine through there, and that might look pretty. Okay, I think I like it. Too much chipboard, I don't like it. So this is questionable. I'm not crazy about that. At least not over there. The other thing would be to tuck it slightly behind this chipboard. Like so. I need to put something in here to hold it up. There we go. That way things don't slide off. Okay. I think that's coming together. So I'm gonna actually start gluing these pieces down. I know I like this. This needs some work. I'm gonna pull this off and back it with some cardstock, I think, and put that down. So when I'm doing this, like I said, it's fussy. So I am actually gonna lift a little, glue a little, lift a little, glue a little, so that I don't rearrange my design on accident. And I'm going to ink my edges on this real quick because I don't like that white coarse showing up. And as you can see, it's a total disaster and I can't find anything. I don't know where my ink is. How is that possible? Here it is. Here it is. Okay. I'm not going to cardstock back this, partly because it already has a black frame. And the other reason I don't want to is because I want this to actually be curved. And you can't do that with cardstock. When I say curved, I'm going to bend it and give it some dimension. That's done, so it's ready. When I'm ready, it's ready. Okay, I'm just gonna start gluing down the large flower. I'll hold it in space and for a second. Then I'm gonna glue down part of this leaf. Again, this is mint. It's $49 in Market. It's called Enchanted Petals. They make a bunch of different flowers, and the clusters, they call them different things. This is Enchanted Petals Mint, and I think it goes perfectly. I'm going to glue down a couple of these. I don't want to get too much glue in there because I know I want to tuck this inside. Okay, so let's add some texture to this. So I'm just going to rough up the edges a little. Put a little curve in it, and then I'm going to run some glue along the bottom, on the top and the bottom, because it's going to adhere to the book and to the flower. We're going to tuck that in. Trying to just, there it goes. It was not wanting to move for me. Okay, that's good. Okay, I like it. We're gonna glue this leaf down, and you don't have to glue the whole thing, but I'd add a little bit of glue on each of the tips, just so they don't get caught on anything. Then I'm going to glue these buds down because they're likely to get caught on something. And that'll just take a second. Not quite dry. That'll be the last thing I do if I decide to do it, because it takes a long time for the art glitter glue to dry on metal. It does dry, but it takes a long time. Okay, now I've still got a couple of elements that I can use. So I'm just looking around to see if there's anything else I like. Okay, I think that's gonna hold. I'm gonna trim this down and get, first of all, get all the red off of it and then get it inked up. And I said I was gonna put some black cardstock, but since it's already framed out in black, I'm just gonna ink it. And then I do think I want it to be dimensional, so I'm gonna put some chipboard behind it. So let's find some chipboard that will fit. Perfect. Just need to shorten it. Oops, that's upside down. That's right side up. Okay, I just want it to come off the edge. You don't want it to look like this. It's too uniform. Okay. And I'm centering the stamps on that black line. So it's half on the leopard print and half on the black print. That's it. Okay, I like that. So let's see, I've got another large one. Which might be a bit much, maybe not. Let's try it. I gotta stand up so that I'm looking down at it. I'm kind of liking that. I didn't think I did at first. And we've got a couple of these. This looks so big. Maybe too big. Maybe too big. I'm The other one's too big and this one's too small, so it's like Goldilocks. I need one that's just right. Let's see, let's try to add a second color and see how that works. What do you guys think? Does it look too much like this one? There are these little sprays which are awesome because they're so easy to place. What do y'all think? Too much? I think I definitely would like adding that little bit of color or contrast. I said color, I meant contrast. What do you think? Sometimes I just gotta look at it for a second. So what else could I do? Okay, I could try. One under, one over. Okay, I'm leaning this direction, guys. Hopefully you're with me. It's a lot of flowers. It's more than, well, it's not really more than I do. I guess that's not true. Okay, I think, well, let's try it with just this one. And then a couple of greens. That's the alternative instead of the spray. We could do one over, one under. And see, that looks a little naked, so we're not doing that. So this is the one, this is it. Okay, there's the decision. Let's get some glue on this. I'm gonna go ahead and add some glue to the leaves while I have it in my hand, since I've looked at it long enough, I think. Okay, now okay, I think that's what I like. I think I'd shift that up just a little. And I do like this, so I'm going to add some glue, and we're going to tuck this guy in. Okay. I think I'm getting close to done. Let's see. I'm actually going to look at some of the flat back pearl options here because I think those disappear a little too much, or at least the red one does. And then I'll make a final decision. And like I said, this will be the last thing I do because it takes so long for it to dry. I do like these, so I'm going to go ahead and ink the edges and figure out how to adhere these. I might want to make them stiffer. So I'm going to clear off the elements that I'm not using. And I opened a second pack of flowers. Let me tell you what it is. It is Parchment. So I'm using mint and parchment. Mint and parchment. That's just trash. Now that I'm done decorating the front, I'm gonna try to pick a piece of chipboard to go on the spine. Since it's a simple black pattern, I was thinking I would use a piece of chipboard, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna hang any charms or not. But if I do, since I've already put the spine in, I need to run my jump ring through through the top of a piece of chipboard, and I'll show you what I mean. I would poke that out and run the jump ring and the brad through the hole, and then I could hide the legs of the brad behind the chipboard since this paper's already down. All right, I'm going to add some texture to these, and I'm going to adhere the back end of the word so the front end is sticking out. Like so. And I'll do that with these others. And then, yeah, getting close. We're getting close. I just think it looks interesting when it's wavy. Yeah. And then that pulls the green back in across the book. And there's no method. I'm just wrinkling a little bit until I get what I like. And then typically what I'll do is I'll make one edge, this edge is a little bit flat, I'll adhere it down, and then I will, once it's glued and fixed, then I will press that into place and I'll put some glue right on that area, and it'll hold in place and still have that wavy texture to it. Okay, I think I've got my final design. I am going to go ahead and glue these down. And I was digging through the rest of my scraps trying to find something interesting to do here up in this corner, and I found these two stamps that I've forgotten I had. So it's always good to stop and shuffle through things. So that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and lay these down. But I'm going to start by doing this by adding these three pieces here. And I think I'm going to start with Adventure, which is the longest one. And like I said, I like to put glue on just one tip, get it in, and then once this is adhered, then I'll come back and glue another part of this in. So that's good. This is hard to do sitting down. You really need perspective. Oops, discover that goes this way. Yeah, I like it. Okay, those are reasonably in place. No, it's not. It's still shifting. Now it is. Okay. Just adding a little glue to the edge here. And now I'm going to press it into place. Hold it for a second, and there's a little bubble in it, which is deliberate. Okay, and then this is the last one. And I'll just hold that for a few seconds, and then I'm going to adhere these, and I'm trying to decide if I want to put chipboard behind them or if I'm just going to kind of texturize them like I did the stamp down here. The other option is to just pop them. Gotta stand back up and see what I'm doing. I don't know. I don't know. What do you guys think? I think that's what I'll do. I'm going to glue these together first. There we go. Okay, I think that's it. Okay, we're finished with the cover finally. So that's it for the cover. Although I look at that and it looks a little naked, doesn't it? We might need to tuck one more flower there. Yeah, that's what I'll do. It just looks like I need a little something. Little something, something. Okay, I'm gonna hold that in place and then we're done with the cover. All right, so the next time we get back together, we will, I'll be showing you the walkthrough. Yeah, I'll have finally finished the album. There's still a few things I need to do on the inside. I might add some chipboard and some stickers and stuff like that, but you know, the main elements are in, and I'll cover that in the walkthrough. Thanks everybody for tuning in. This is Daphne from Scrap and Crate. See you soon.